Again, I was thinking bad again. That is a slow song, so it's even worse for you guys. It almost looks like there's a lane on the right, but it's not. Leave again. Oh, leave again. Start falling in love with you again. That's the biggest mistake in the world. If you break up with someone, you broke up for a reason. Don't ever, ever go back to them. How be? It's Janet Jackson. I love Janet. She's hot. Just one time. Thank you. Especially this in this photo, she is really smoking hot, right? Again. Let's see what next song is. No. Molly told me that she told me that she is like you. Don't told me so deep way from what they do. Yeah. I'm stuck on this song. Ah, shit. Ah, fuck. It's alright. It's alright. Just need a little bit. Surrender. Come on, hurry up. Get over. Yay. Hey. Oh, you got like cheese trick, right? Ah, that sucks. It's alright. Daddy's alright. Just a little scared. Surrender. Surrender. Hey. I remember this is like the first Guitar Hero song, Surrender, right? Yeah, I'm almost home. Ooh, I'm gonna play something y'all are gonna laugh at me for. I don't care. Dude, how can guys like this who can get all the girls in the world and they're gay? Like, man, nothing can stop us tonight. Bailamos. The rhythm is taking over. Bailamos. Te quiero en la orilla. Forever my lamo. Hey, what's up, prosecuting attorney? I know you're watching. What's up, Cajun? I am in Bakersfield. Bakersfield. About to go get some fuel. Forever my llama. I just need like 20 bucks, 30 bucks to get me to Fresno. Because I'm going to Costco, get Donnie some food, and I'll get diesel at Costco. Uh-oh. Take Seattle. Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm finally almost home. Like, it's to the point where you're so close that you drive faster because you're excited to get home. Excuse me. I still haven't got rid of this cold for the whole 3 weeks. I've had the cough. Uh-oh, somebody's waking up. Somebody's waking up. You just wake up, monster? Italy. He's like, where's Ty? Ty's not here to harass anymore, huh? Street Bakersfield, next 13 exits. No, I dropped Ty off at the car rental place about an hour or two ago because he's going all the way to San Francisco or Oakland area, and I'm not going that far, so that way he can get up there because the train, I'm not going to make it in time for him to catch the train. So it's easier for him to just rent a car. Come on, baby. You dropped the bomb on me. Dropped the bomb on me. Dang it. Let's see. I'm getting surrounded here. I got stuck behind a slow car. No, I think there's a shit. You know what? I'm gonna get diesel right here. Might as well. Is that where I think I am? Am I where I think I am? Nope. That's one. Gotta keep going. You dropped the bomb on me, baby. You dropped the bomb on me. I think there's Chevron right here. Good show. I don't need it right this second, but get it over with. patiently. What's wrong, Donnie? Want to go for a walk? Shit, I gotta get up here. Ugh. That's the great thing. It's not cheaper than Costco, but I don't have enough diesel to make it to Costco. That's the good thing about having a 4x4. Holy shit, never mind. I am not paying $6.39 a fucking gallon for diesel. Fuck that. Never mind. Whoa! Dude, I got the green light, dude. Go. Fucking idiot. I got the green light and he does that shit. You see that shit? I just... Fucking dumbass. I had the green fucking light. Yeah, I'm not paying $6.39 a gallon for diesel. Yeah, welcome back to California, right? There's a truck stop at Merced, on Merced Street up here in about half an hour. I'll just go there. I got enough diesel to make it there. I just don't have enough to make it all the way to Fresno. Dude, I hope the gas price, when I left, it was $4.99 at Costco. So if diesel is $6.99 now, or $6.49, whatever it was right there, I'm gonna be upset. Only Mr. Bill, I'm in Bakersfield, California. I'm excited to be home almost. What's up, Freckles? Yeah, they used to live here. There's Bako and Expressway, I think, or something like that. Almost 5 o'clock. David Aguilar, the mega superstar. Trying to see the price of diesel. Watch, that was cheaper than anywhere else. Wow, they got a billboard for the casino like 10 minutes from 20 minutes from my house, and I'm still like probably 3 hours away. Oil Dale. Who was it that was talking about Oil Dale earlier today? I don't remember. Can't believe I'm gonna sleep in my own bed tonight. Yeah, it was Oil Dale, right? But at first I thought he said Orville, which is way up north. All right, I gotta get myself to slow down now. Time changes? Well, there was no time change today. Yesterday there was, but not today. It's not the time change that sucks, it's just the driving. It makes you tired. It makes you really tired. Oh, he said Oroville? I thought he said Oildale. Because he said it was by Bakersfield. Take the brick off the pedal. I'm only doing 71 right now. I'm not doing a crazy speed anymore. Oh, from the time I left? It's rough. It's rough. I don't know, you gotta do it, so I just do it. I know that doesn't answer your question. I don't know how I do it. I just don't. And at the Merced exit. I think it's a Flying Dre Travel Center that we're gonna head for. Some diesel there. So there I go, trying to speed again. Here we go, speeding again. I'm so close to home. I just want to get there, let Donnie out so he can play with Woody. Go see my stepdad. Relax, chill. What's up, James Winters? Surprised Donnie hasn't bothered me for a walk yet. Donnie does so well traveling. He doesn't push the issue. You know, he's not trying to, harass us. He just chills in his back seat and relaxes. Oh, Monster. Of course, I mentioned his name now, so let's go. Oh, I forgot to take your vest off. Sorry. But I mean, I designed the whole back seat for him. See? He's just gonna chill. He's a good puppy. Oh, and that Robert Gouveia guy, he emailed me. Oh, I don't think we'll better make it this trip, so I didn't go meet him. For everybody that's probably asking. Speaking of that, what I should do is hook up my other phone and we can listen to him, because I don't know what happened in the trial today. Let me switch phones to my other device. Did he do one yet today? Yeah, he did.
I just pressed screen to fire up all across the front plate of the internet.
Why isn't it connected to the other one?
Representative sent a letter over to Mark Pomerantz. We've talked a lot about Mark. He was one of the former prosecutors from New York.
Is the audio better now?
After Alvin Bragg got elected, because Alvin Bragg decided...
Now that I turned the air conditioner off, is it better?
And he threw a big hissy fit over there. And he wrote a book about it. He started another organization about it.
But it's hot.
A ton of money, and then he got his wish because he threw a temper tantrum and probably didn't invite Alvin to any more cocktail parties or something.
Oh, I think the air conditioner was facing right at it.
Decided to prosecute. Well,
how about this?
GOP is now sending a letter over to Mark Pomerantz. They're asking him, I'm very curious about what your involvement was in this. It sounds like you might have been using the prosecutor's office and the levers of government to wage a political war against Donald Trump by writing books and by making this your entire life's work. So Bragg's office responded. It's actually a pretty substantive letter, so we will go through that here from our friend Jim Jordan, all as part of the Trump update. Then got some pretty wild news out of the apparently at least 40 informant or agents there as part of the Proud Book or amongst the defendants. Now we don't know if it. Then we've got some pretty wild news out of the Proud Boys trial. Apparently at least 40 informants or agents.
Why are you saying it's bad still, Billy?
They're on January 6th.
I switched phones, so...
Or amongst the defendants. Now, we don't know.
Before the audio was coming...
Informants who were specifically focused only on them.
Before the audio was coming through my truck for the show, and so that way you guys can hear this guy talking. I had to switch it from one phone to the other phone, so now you're just hearing the microphone right here, which is off the side. Here's my exit. We're gonna get some diesel, hopefully.
Proud Boys, or if they were just there generally, or what the scope is, how far away are these connections, we don't know. But 40 agents?
My truck should be really quiet.
We've talked about this. There's just over 100 violent crimes with weapons or so. And so if you have almost over a third of these violent offenders had a one-to-one relationship with informants and other agents, why did this happen? We'll come back to all that. Now, as usual, Brandy Buckman is going to be reporting on the trial for us. Make sure you're giving her a follow at Brandy Buckman on Twitter. We've got the full trial to go through, day 52, and it's going to be doozy. And so if you want to be a part of the show, my friends, we always invite you to become a member. That's a great way to support what we do here at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We try to make it worthwhile. We do extra streams. We have a great community. Come check us out, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And if you're a member on YouTube, as we had a bunch of members just join here today, courtesy of our friend Curtis Bartle, you can also grab the Telegram link, which is where we post stuff and share stuff before and after the stream ends. And it's where we also have our after parties for our
chick's
YouTube
wearing a
members.
mask,
So come and join us over there. Now, before we get into all the meat and potatoes,
she's not wearing any gloves while she's serving food, but she's wearing a mask.
Keep us healthy, and we would all like to lose some of those little leftover pandemic pounds here. It's about to be summertime. We got to, start. But how sick of all those ads for the weight pills and all done that, and they just don't work. But you know what does? Eating healthy. Go figure. Daily fruits and
I don't know why his is fucking up again. Is the audio bad still? Is that what you guys are saying?
Some of those little leftover pandemic pounds here in the United States.
Connected to the wrong thing.
We're gonna, start to true up a little bit. But how sick are you of all those ads for the weight loss pills and all the fat diets? We've all been there. We've all done that.
So,
and they just don't work. But you know what does? Eating healthy. Go figure. Daily servings, fruits and vegetables every day. You do
this
that,
is what bothers me. There's somebody in front of this gal.
I know vegetables. Not a fan. Who's got time to prepare the fruit every day?
And they're sitting in front of a diesel pump, so I can't go put in diesel. I gotta wait. They have very few diesel pumps.
Science-backed formula, very specific fruits and vegetables that you're not going to find in any other product. And we know that proper nutrition reboots your metabolism so you can burn calories faster and lose weight the healthier way. And Feel the Greens, it's the only brand backed by a better health product.
Why is my phone? Let me turn my phone on and off. If I can fix this. Now I'm starting to get tired too. I better eat something. You'll wake me up. I'm only going to put in just enough to get me to Fresno where I can get cheaper, like by 40 cents a gallon. Dude, if this guy comes back and he doesn't put any fuel in his car, I'm gonna be tripping. Yeah, you wanna? Okay, he's putting fuel in. I won't say nothing then. He's putting some fuel in. I gotta search for which card I want to use. I never use cards, but I don't feel like walking all the way in there. This is the one I want. PayPal. There we go. You gonna come out with me, Donnie? Huh? Okay, you can come with Dad. We'll be right back, guys. We're gonna diesel up. Hold on. Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. Dude, Donnie decided to come inside all up by himself instead of waiting for me. You don't have to go to the bathroom, handsome? Oh, shit. I'm tired. Oh, he's drinking his water. Slowest pump I've ever been at. Wow. Alright, 4 gallons should be enough to get me the rest of the way home. Oh. Yeah, no, when the windows are down, it hurts my ears. You know when you guys have one window down? That stuff doesn't hurt your guys' ears? Drives me nuts. I hate when people hold the windows down, you know, in their own. Like, I should get something to eat, but I don't want to. Why is your windshield dirty still? Because you didn't clean it. Because you didn't clean it. Oof. Alright. I am freaking tired. See if it'll start up. What if I just do this? There we go. Does it still sound like shit?
Brand backed by a better health promise. And look,
Just
you're
curious.
gonna look healthier and feel healthier, but the greater proof is going to come at your next checkup when your doctor says, wow, whatever you're doing, you look great, keep it up. So let's get you started. Go on over to fieldofgreens.com, save 15% with code REM. All right, and so still underway. House Republicans fire back at the New York prosecutor's office demanding answers from this guy, Mark.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
He's not currently at the New York prosecutor's office, but he used to be. He's a former special prosecutor, somebody who was brought in specifically to go wage war against Donald Trump. And remember, a lot of people in New York have been doing this for a long time. Alvin Bragg, one of the conditions of him running was that he was going to go and prosecute Trump. And so he got elected, and there were people who were already in this game, like Mark, who were very upset, very angry when Alvin Bragg.
Oh, thank you, Paul.
And in fact, Mark pissy fit. He wrote a book about this. He was
I don't know what I should
on
eat.
60 Minutes. And he was saying, you know, I dedicated my whole life to this. This is very important to me. Trump's a menace, and we have to eliminate him and all this stuff. And we're going to listen to a clip from him. But he's the guy who actually got the subpoena along with a letter from Jim Jordan. And Jim Jordan now is in the House. The Republicans control the House. And Jim Jordan is on the Judiciary Committee. And he's fired off this pretty fiery letter, and it's quite long. And the question, of course, is going to be,
I'm trying to start losing weight. I really.
And what business does he have?
When I saw myself wrestling with Drunk Uncle on camera, that was disgusting.
So, look, that Mr. Pump is what he wrote.
I don't know why this keeps messing up like this. Why is this stream messing up all the time?
It's in time to where this whole indictment thing was going down. We're all.
Dude, it's cutting off and
It's not
off.
just about a regular criminal prosecution. He keeps hearing that, you know. Just for that, you know, and it's all this gamesmanship of it's just the law. That's it.
Did anybody else listen to this today? Were they having issues with this audio? Or is just my phone messing up?
Engaging in politics. Mark Pomerantz is a
Start it
special
over.
prosecutor. So he was. Pomerantz, not currently,
Yeah, it's still doing it.
but he used to be. And specifically,
What the heck is going on?
prosecutor, somebody who was brought in specifically to go wage war against Donald Trump. And remember, a lot of people in New York have been doing this for a long time. Alvin Bragg, one of the conditions of him.
All right, talk to you later, goddamn.
Prosecute Trump. So he got elected, and there were people who were already.
I think my truck's
in
getting
this
tired.
game, like Mark, who were very upset, very angry. when
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to
Alvin
play on my
Bragg
radio.
said, I'm not going to continue the prosecution. In fact, Mark threw a hissy fit. He wrote a book about this. He was appearing on 60 Minutes, and he was saying, you know, I dedicated my whole life to this. This is very important to me. Trump's a menace, and we have to eliminate him and all this stuff. And we're going to listen to a clip from him. But he's the guy who actually got prosecutor, somebody who was brought in specifically to go wage war.
Here it comes back on. There we go.
A lot of people in New York have been doing this for a long time. Alvin Bragg, one of the conditions of him running was that he was going to go and prosecute Trump. And so he got elected, and there were people who were already in this game, like Mark, who were very upset, very angry when Alvin Bragg said, I'm not going to continue the prosecution. In fact, Mark threw a hissy fit. He wrote a book about this. He was appearing on 60 Minutes, and he was saying, I dedicated my whole life to this. This is very important to me. Trump's a menace, and we have to eliminate him and all this stuff. And we're going to listen to a clip from him. But he's the guy who actually got the subpoena along with a letter from Jim Jordan. And Jim Jordan now is in the House. The Republicans control the House. And Jim Jordan is on the Judiciary Committee, and he's fired off this pretty fiery letter, and it's quite long. And the question, of course, is going to be, what jurisdiction does Jim Jordan have, and what business does he have over a former prosecutor who's not even in the office anymore? And so we'll get into all of that. But first, here's the book that Mr. Pomerantz actually drafted. This is what he wrote, released on February 7th, 2023. Which is pretty close in time to where this whole indictment thing was going down. We're all wondering what his involvement was, because this is not just about a regular criminal prosecution. We keep hearing that, nobody's above the law. It's like if Trump got a speeding ticket, we should throw him in jail just for that, and it's all this gamesmanship of it's just the law. That's it. It's not politics. No, of course not. But you see people like this who are kind of engaging in politics on the back of the law.
You're making the hubby dinner.
Special prosecutor.
I thought you were like the hubby is making dinner.
Specifically on the prosecution.
I read that backwards.
Writes a book about it. 385 reviews, charging $15 a Kindle. Boom, just popping them off to all the Trump psychos out there with TDS. Perfect. More, TDS material for me to read on the toilet. And it's
my stepdad, he's like, I told him I was going to do some stuff for him tomorrow. He's like, no, you're not. You're just going to stay in bed and sleep all day and recover from the long drive and spend time with Panda. So I'm excited to do nothing tomorrow. No driving, no nothing. Just laying in bed.
Pomerantz learned that Alvin Bragg was not going to be prosecuting Donald Trump, and how dare he. And Pomerantz threw a fit about this on 60 Minutes. He said, I can't believe this.
If you take the exact same conduct and make it not about Donald Trump and not about a former president of the United States,
would have never been charged.
Would the case have been indicted? It would have been indicted in a flat second.
No.
You said in your resignation letter that Bragg's decision amounted to a grave failure of justice.
Yeah.
You still believe that?
Somber, yeah.
I still believe it.
Yeah.
Don't prosecutors often disagree with decisions made by
yes, it's called prosecutorial
what
discretion.
Makes this different?
I hate Trump. It's Trump.
Welcome to the city of McFarland.
There's all sorts of prosecutorial discretion. Many other prosecutors have reviewed this case and declined it. Even Alvin Bragg seemed like he was going to do that until he got some last surprise witness, whatever that is.
Given all the evidence that we had, and that
watch out, vehicle on shoulder ahead.
Watch out.
Nobody said that.
Nobody ever said that.
Well, then why did Bragg wind it down? And why are you now calling this a failure? So somebody at some point had a decision that it wasn't a good case, so there was disagreement at some point. And Alvin Bragg himself has admitted that this was resurrected. They called this the zombie case. Where'd this come from? It's been around in the garbage in the closet for a long time. They dug it back out. How come? Is it because is a distraction they need? Is it because it's part of a bigger orchestration?
I wonder if I should I'll stop in Delano, get some food. What should we get in Delano?
Series. The trilogy is coming. Georgia and special counsel are next.
Mark Pomerantz, who spent
All right. Let's listen to this bio from him.
Nobody ever said that.
Mark Pomerantz, who spent 1 year examining the former president's annual financial statements and accounting documents from 2011
look at that chessboard. Yeah. That means he's smart.
to 2020, said everyone on his team concluded Donald Trump had lied about his assets to appear wealthier than he was, to obtain multi-million-dollar favorable bank loans to expand his real estate empire.
So this is a whole separate case, right? This was the Trump court case, not even related to this particular indictment. But this guy is just combing over everything because he spent a year doing this. And do you think he would have anybody on his team that would lodge an objection to this and say, hey, Mark, I'm on your team. I'm just a conscientious objector. I don't actually think there's enough here. Or did he just go and round up a bunch of Trump psychos who want to prosecute him? And no, they can use the strong arm of the government to do it.
Pomerantz said Mr. Trump used the money to buy the Doral Hotel in Miami, refinance the Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago, and to renovate the old post office property in Washington, D.C.
And what the investigation determined was that the financial statements
Wendy's?
that were submitted
Wendy's,
to
that sounds
banks for those years
I don't know if we'll have a Wendy's on this.
overstated in each case by literally billions of dollars.
Billions.
Billions of dollars.
Billions.
How was his business empire dependent on or influenced by these false statements?
The financial statements that he prepared were given to the banks and had to be given to the banks in order to get the loans that he got. So he got hundreds of millions of dollars of bank financing in connection with many of his properties.
It sounds like you're saying that his empire's built on lies.
Wow, that's
His
This
empire
train's
was
going
built
pretty
on
fast.
lies.
wow, that's the takeaway. That's the moment. That's the one they were all planning for. That's brilliant journalism. Shout out to 60 Minutes there. Wow. Sounds like Trump's a murderer. Trump is a murderer. Wow, genius. Okay, so that's what's going on network TV. So that's Mark Pomerantz, former special prosecutor, playing Patty Cake with 60 Minutes guy. Shout out to 60 Minutes. I actually kind of, think that they do interesting work from time to time. They did have Marjorie Taylor Greene on after all. And so Mark Pomerantz is the special prosecutor who's no longer there, but he's getting letters over from Jim Jordan. And so here is what happened right after Trump gets arraigned in court. Prosecution continues. The House seems like they're doing something about it. House GOP fires off the first subpoena in the probe of the Trump indictment. From Politico, the summons is sparking a fresh rebuke from Manhattan DA. We'll hear what he had to say in a minute. They call it part of an unprecedented campaign of harassment and intimidation, which I didn't hear them crying when the J6 committee, which was illegally constituted, by the way, just read
You just
HR
cook
503.
tacos? Ooh.
Then why are they crying now? J6 committee could do whatever they wanted under the purview of Congress. We're Congress. Rule 10 says we can do whatever we want. I'm Liz Cheney. I'm Craig Kinzinger. And they could have full reign of the full power of the legislative branch. Here, Jim Jordan doesn't have it, apparently. Well, we'll see about that. Now, the House GOP on Thursday fired off its first subpoena in its investigation of the DA, Alvin Bragg, escalating a standoff over the indictment of former President Trump. He is the House Judiciary Chair from Ohio, summoning Mark Pomerantz, who we just heard from, former county assistant district attorney, to appear behind closed doors for a depo April 20th. Mark your calendars. Politico got a copy of the subpoena. Now, there is a letter that we're going to read through. They say it's a little unusual for Congress to subpoena a line prosecutor. And Jordan, in his Thursday letter, we're going to see, alleges that Bragg's office told Pomerantz not to cooperate. Bragg's office issued a fiery response. Pomerantz issued a rebuke and wrote a book where he included details of this investigation. Okay, so he's making this public now. All the secret investigation that he does is now public. So that's how this works. You can just go work for a prosecutor's office, prosecute your political enemies, not bring charges, use the prosecutor's office to get leverage, go investigate this, maybe issue a subpoena. Hey, I'm from the prosecutor's office. I want to have an interview with you. Come down to my office. For a year, rummage through all of his records, look at all of his spreadsheets, subpoena this, subpoena that.
Bako was a baseball player?
And then when charges don't get brought, he just leaves and writes a book about it and details it anyways. It's disgusting, right? It's going in and exploiting your position, your time at the government, and then using it against your political opponents. They have no shame. If they're not actually using the FBI to go in and abuse Republicans, in particular Trump, then they go work at state-level prosecutors, and if they don't do anything, they leave and write a book about it. So the January 6th committee, Politico is very interesting that they admit this. The January 6th Select Committee used a similar argument against White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows' resistance to a summons, saying he waived any potential privileges by releasing a book that describes some of the interactions with the former president. Meadows was later held in contempt of Congress.
That's what we call Bakersfield, Bako, Cajun. It's short for Bakersfield.
Oh, interesting.
It's a short version.
Yeah, the January 6th committee said a bunch of it, and we're very happy to see that the pendulum is swinging the other way. I wish there was no pendulum, to be quite frank about it. I wish we had competent government that didn't weaponize everything to go and prosecute political enemies, but it all started now with this committee. Well, it started a long time ago, but this committee is the latest iteration of it. J6 committee started it. This committee's responding. Another witness who wrote a book, Peter Navarro, is currently being prosecuted for this, for contempt of Congress. They started it. We covered that case. You better respond to a subpoena from Congress or else. Jordan told Pomerantz, we'll read the letter. The subpoena just came days before Trump appeared in New York. Multiple volleys back and forth. Oversight James Comer, Administration Brian Steele last week requested a list of questions that they would want to ask.
Let's see Burger King.
Subpoenaing Bragg.
Okay, let's get Burger King.
Says that Dubek, while urging Republicans to negotiate before a potential subpoena of Bragg, also offered a blistering critique of the investigation in her letter.
This one's here and I'm hungry right now, so.
Calling the accusations of a political persecution baseless. Bragg's office responded, and we'll go through some of this. Now, the Dubek letter.
It's here, it's easy. Right? Shit, diesel is $4.99 here. Damn it.
We'll see if that pops up. But
I paid $5.30.
That is what is happening. That is from House GOP Jim Jordan.
Oh, well.
We'll read the letter, but before we get there, let's listen to Jim Jordan explain this when he was on with Fox
I haven't
eaten
Burger King.
Congressman Jim Jordan, he's chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, and he's also the weaponization of government. Congressman, we didn't know.
All right, do I want a big fish or do I want a chicken sandwich? What do you guys think? Big fish or chicken sandwich? Take a melty break.
What can it be, What can I start it today?
Yeah, can I get a number 9, please?
Will the number 9 be on large?
Yes, and can I get onion rings instead?
Onion rings instead, you got it.
And
for the drink?
Coke or Pepsi, whatever you got.
You got it.
And then can I just get like a junior small cheeseburger for my dog, or just a patty? You guys sell just patties?
Yeah, regular hamburger or just a patty?
Yeah, just a patty for my dog.
Just a patty, I got it.
And then some of that, what is the sauce that you have for the onion rings? The
And then another drink?
No, the sauce for the onion rings. What's it called? Oh my gosh, the dipping sauce.
The dipping sauce? I got buffalo, barbecue, ranch, marinara, honey mustard, sweet sour, hot sauce, ketchup.
Oh no, the stuff I normally get with the onion rings. What's it called?
Zesty sauce?
Zesty sauce. Yes, thank you.
I got you, bro.
Thank you, man.
Yes, sir. Would that be all for you today?
It will. Thanks.
Yes, sir. We can off the second window, bro.
All right, cool.
Yes, sir. Take it.
Wait, I didn't have to order courtesy water. Oh my gosh. No courtesy water.
Of the party emanates to the rest of the movement, because maybe you're concerned that you're going to get indicted.
I'm Bart. Of course not. And everyone, I mean, what should happen, this case never should have been brought, and what should happen now, it should get dismissed. But we're going to have to wait till what? I think December 4th is the hearing, and the trial scheduled for even into next year, into next January.
Of course, why not?
Ridiculous. Everyone gets it. Remember, the Department of Justice wouldn't bring the case.
How can it be so tired?
District Attorney Cy Vance wouldn't bring the case. And
So,
even Alvin
I got an appointment for him on Wednesday for the vet. I mean, St. Bernards are sleep. They're very calm dogs and sleep a lot, but I want to get him checked out. So they're going to x-ray his hips for me to check out and make sure his hips are doing good.
Unknown caller.
I don't know who you are. I don't answer 1-800 numbers. And yeah, so they're gonna check. They're gonna check his hips. We're gonna X-ray his hips. We're gonna get his Simparica for him and Panda. It's what is it called? It's a hold on, let me pay real quick. So he gets it's a flea tick medicine that he has to, and a heartworm medicine that he has to take, him and Panda. They're calling about my truck's warranty, I know, right? I'm tired. I don't even want to stop at Costco to get diesel, but I have to, and get him dog food. He's got dry food, he just doesn't have wet food. And he is spoiled, huh?
Yes, sir. I got the number 9 large with the onion rings, and then I got a Whopper patty on the side.
Yes, you guys take Apple Pay?
Yes, we do.
Cool, sweet.
I got the zesty sauce in here, bro.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Here we go.
There we go. Oh,
Yes,
what's this? Cool.
sir.
Sweet. Thanks, boss.
Thank you, sir. Have yourself a good one.
You too, man. Good customer service. That was very friendly. I can appreciate that. Oh, Donnie's awake now. Donnie smell food. Your patty might be too hot though, Donnie. Hold on. Bye, Betty. Is it too hot for him? Oh yeah, that's too hot. You can't have it yet, Donnie. Sorry, buddy.
I just don't get it.
See, it's hard to get Jim Jordan because there's not much there. We read through the entire indictment, and in the indictment itself, it was just a copy and paste of recurring payments, essentially. And it looked to me like there was an argument that this could have been a retainer, that he was making monthly installments, monthly payments. Michael Cohen was on call.
Have you guys ever tried the zesty sauce that they have for the onion rings?
Reviewed,
it's really good.
Confirmed through his counsel, and you can read the letters. They're all available at spotlightlawyer.com/Trump. The full mind map is there. You can see the letters that Cohen's lawyer sent to the FTC, 2 of them. You can see the letters that Stormy Daniels sent. All of this was corroborated by Robert Costello, who said that Michael Cohen told him a long time ago that Trump knew nothing about this. And there's all sorts of evidence that Michael Cohen is just not credible, and they're basing their entire case on him.
No, I mean, look, we don't know what's going on there. We'll see what happens. What I do know is the left never stops.
That's true.
It was 2016 they spied on his campaign. 2018 it was Mueller investigation. 2020 it was suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story. 2022 it's raiding his home 91 days before the election, and now it's this in the run up to the 2024 presidential race. As I've said many times before, why won't they just let the people decide who we want representing in office? Why do they always have to, the FBI or the left, get involved in every single election, trying to put their finger on the scale? They've been out to get President Trump ever since he went in public life and ran for office. And I think it's because he's actually fighting for we the people.
I like their onion rings.
Fighting for the establishment in the swamp here, and that's the key problem I think the left has with President Trump.
It's because they're cheaters. They can't play fair. Everything they touch is an effort to manipulate it to their advantage. It doesn't matter what you look at, whether it's... You can extrapolate from there. But the point is, there is constant cheating from the Democrats, and here is finally the letter from Jim Jordan. This is what he was talking about. Sent April 6th from the United States Congress, House of Representatives, Judiciary Committee. Jim Jordan from Ohio sends the letter over to Mark Pomerantz, former New York County Special Assistant DA. He's now with the Free and Fair Litigation Group, which is an organization we've talked about previously. Now, it writes from Jim Jordan, Dear Mr. Pomerantz, the Committee on the Judiciary is conducting oversight of Alvin Bragg's unprecedented indictment of Trump. He's currently a declared candidate, you know. Now, They say, on March 22nd, we requested that you, Mark, voluntarily cooperate with our oversight by providing relevant documents and testimony pertaining to your role when you were Special Assistant DA leading the investigation into Trump. Jordan says,
wasn't I?
Reply from you, dated March 27th, stating that at the instruction of the DA's office, Alvin Bragg, that you would not cooperate with our oversight. Wow. Now, you enclosed a copy of the letter that Alvin sent you, directing you not to cooperate. So even Alvin is telling him, be quiet about this, Mark.
Wally for
This is what the J6 committee used to say. Rule 10 of the House of Representatives authorizes the Committee on Judiciary to conduct oversight of criminal justice matters related and to inform potential litigation. Congress has a specific and manifestly important interest in preventing politically motivated prosecutions of current and former presidents by elected state and local prosecutors, particularly in jurisdictions like New York County, where the prosecutor is popularly elected.
I still have to get diesel at Costco.
Trial-level judges,
but I don't think I'm going to go in. Well, I got to go in. I'll get Johnny stuff. I'm going to say I can order it online and have them deliver it.
Jordan says, among other things, Mark, if state or local prosecutors like you are able to engage in politically motivated prosecutions of presidents for personal acts, this could have a pretty profound impact on how presidents choose to exercise their powers while in office. For example, Jordan says, a president could choose to avoid taking action he believes to be in the national interest because it might negatively impact New York City. And then the New York City prosecutor might prosecute. So a president now can't exercise authority over the whole country, and sometimes you have to make decisions for the country that might might not be equally beneficial to all the governments, which might cause one of those governments to get angry and prosecute you. Congress says, could that happen? Who knows? Now, as a result, the DA's unprecedented prosecutorial conduct requires oversight to inform Congress.
So, Hope, have you been catching the trolls, or have there just been no trolls lately?
That might address politically motivated state prosecutors. Jordan says these potential reforms might include, here's some things we might do: broadening the statutory right of removal for certain criminal cases from state court to federal court. And this is the concept that exists. You can remove cases from a state level court up into a federal court. The local prosecution also raises concerns about conflicts of law, the supremacy of federal law to protect a former president, and state level law to control his presence in the criminal justice system. It's a major conflict. This is why we talked about it's like dividing by zero. The committee may consider legislative reform.
Well, that actually sucks. That means I'm not doing very good lately.
That the DA's office out in New York has acknowledged Alvin has used federal forfeiture funds in its investigations of Trump, including when you were there, Mark Pomerantz.
Are you scaring him off,
when Trump was a candidate for re-election? You were there. The committee may therefore consider legislation to enhance reporting requirements about the use of forfeiture funds and to prohibit the use of forfeiture funds to investigate current former presidents and presidential candidates. And Congress might also be able to restrict your jurisdiction's eligibility to even get federal funds in the first place if these prosecutions are discriminatory on the basis of partisan affiliation or political belief. Now, this isn't an entire paragraph that is a supporting paragraph for basically Congress's jurisdiction. A lot of people are saying, what's the base? How?
All right, I think Donnie's
appropriate for Congress to come in here and interfere with state rights. I'm thinking to myself,
see how good he is? He doesn't bother me for
talking about states' rights. The J6 committee did this for 2 years. They were saying we have a basis to get anything we want for national security. This is about national elections. Trump is running for office, and they're interfering with it.
You gotta take it in the back.
Prosecuting him with a crime. Jordan says, maybe we shouldn't allow you to use funds. So Jordan continues, he says, based on your unique role as a special assistant leading the investigation into Trump, you, Mark, are uniquely situated to provide information that's relevant to our committee. And although The Bragg office has directed you not to cooperate with us.
Yeah, was that good,
You have
Handsome?
already discussed these topics in a book you published in February. And you also gave several interviews, like on CBS or 60 Minutes, whatever that was. As a result, you have no basis at all to decline matters before the committee that you already discussed in your book and on primetime television with an audience in the millions.
Monster, huh? You're the best dog in the world. You're the greatest dog in the world.
Duty of confidentiality or privilege. You already cracked the shell on this there, Mark.
You see, that guy
and your book
was arguing with you last night in Brandon's chat. What about him?
The Manhattan DA's investigation.
What about him? Did he say anything too bad?
Internal deliberations about the investigation. You don't need to buy the book. Here, Gordon's going to summarize it for us. It's probably terrible. Indeed, you discuss how members of the office view the credibility of a key witness in this case. Wow. And you note the concerns about the case's dim prospects. Wow, you thought it was a crap case there? You didn't say that on 60 Minutes there, Mark. For example, in your book, you recount a mini revolt that occurred following an internal office meeting in September. You offer details about a disagreement. Mark is sitting there with Julietta Lozano. She works for the Major Crimes Division, and they're talking about Michael Cohen and his credibility. Mark and Julietta are like, well, I think he's probably pretty good. Now, you also complain about concerns expressed by Chris Conroy during another meeting. According to you, Conroy spoke about his misgivings. Oh, well, that sounds a little different. Because when Mark Pomerantz was on with 60 Minutes, it sounded like it was completely unanimous in his office. Everybody said this was obvious, we have to do it. Well, that's weird. Somebody named Conroy.
Oh, that guy. Okay.
Apparently had misgivings. Maybe Julietta Lozano did too. Don't know.
He had some Trumpster something.
All stemming from a recent case involving accounting and fraud charges that mirrored the charges of President Trump. That case apparently also ended.
Watch out. Object on road ahead.
And like Lozano, two people in your office, Lozano and Conroy, they expressed concerns about Cohen and his viability as a witness because he's a convicted murderer, I think. You accuse other lawyers of being relentlessly negative, dwelling on all the difficulties and issues with the case, and refusing to acknowledge the positives. Okay, so the whole office thinks this is a crap case, and Mark Pomerantz is just so TDS out of his mind, just jacked up on that stuff every morning, gets a fresh hit of it. And he is demanding you abide by what I think this case looks like. This is the disagreement. These are prosecutorial discretions. This case is weak as heck. But when he was doing his interview, he never made that known. Referring to your former colleagues as conscientious objectors, merely for opining about a weak case and pointing to its many fatal flaws. You ultimately dismiss their concerns about the investigation by saying that they were either too lazy to do the work, wow, or did not know the evidence, or they were
so
afraid of
he knows he always gets the last piece of my burger. Or whatever I eat, so...
yeah, a bunch of ad hominems there from this prosecutor. This guy sounds like a typical prosecutor. Giant crybaby, gonna do everything
I don't know why. He always takes it to the back seat.
Charges stick no matter what. And then when he doesn't get his way, calls everybody else lazy idiots for not knowing the evidence, or wussies, too afraid to even bring the charges. This guy. Your book, described as a 300-page exercise in score settling and scorn, according to footnote 17, a review from Boyd Green. Also,
I need to write a book.
The extent to which the Manhattan DA's office
the circus is in town.
Appears to have been politically motivated in their prosecution. Jordan says, Mark, specifically you describe your eagerness to investigate Trump, willing and writing that you were, quote, delighted to join an unpaid group of lawyers advising on the Trump investigations. So for a full year, this guy drops everything and makes it his life work to go do this. And joking that salary negotiations had gone great because you would have paid to join the investigation. No, they don't need to pay me. I'll pay to join it. That's how much this dude hates Trump. You think I'm joking when I'm mocking these people for TDS? This guy would have paid. Now he's joking, but I don't think he's joking. What does it take for me to prosecute Trump? I want to be on the team. You frivolously compare President Trump to mob boss John Gotti. You claim the DA's office was warranted in throwing the book at him. You claim that you had become a master of breaking the law in ways that were difficult to reach. You explain that the collective weight of Trump's conduct over the years left no doubt in your mind that he deserved to be prosecuted. In other words, you seem, for reasons unrelated to the facts of this particular case, to be searching for any basis on which to bring criminal charges. 100%. This guy is dedicated to this, working for free. A full year would pay to get on the team. Now, although you were able to, according to you, quote, put aside your personal feelings during the investigation, your depth and your personal animosity towards him is apparent. You wrote in the book you said about Trump, I saw him as a malignant narcissist, and perhaps even a megalomaniac who posed a real danger to the country and the ideals that matter to me. His behavior made me angry and even disgusted. Now, you additionally, Mark, marveled at the thought of being at the center of what might be one of the most consequential criminal cases ever brought. You reflect on your only similar experience, which you indicated was the indictment of Osama bin Laden and
I'm
other
almost
members
home.
of Al Qaeda. So this could only reach the same threshold.
How come you're home so early? What's today?
9/11
What's today?
prosecutions. They really think this.
Today's Thursday. Never mind. That's why.
Worst thing since the Civil War. That's in their
Today's
language. That's not
Thursday.
me being hyperbolic.
Wow, 4.59 for
Biden
diesel.
said that.
Shit.
I'm pretty
Well, it's
sure
cash
Kamala
price.
said that. Kareem has said that. The worst thing since the Civil War. They skip over 9/11. They skip over Pearl Harbor. At least Mark was referencing Osama. Gosh, this could be even bigger than Osama prosecuting Trump for some spreadsheet problems. Drawing a parallel between these two items, vastly different matters, speaks volumes, Mark, about the mindset that you brought when you were investigating Trump. And so these perceptions appear to have colored your work as a special assistant to the point where you even resigned because the investigation into Trump was not proceeding fast enough to your liking. In your resignation letter, Mark, you judged and prejudged the results of the investigation. You said Trump is guilty of numerous felony violations. You said, I'm not going to be a passive participant. And this was a grave failure of
How are the
justice.
pups doing?
Your public resignation.
Do they miss having Donnie there to try and fuck with them?
Deeply stung. I told you, he was not invited to happy hour. And we know he likes happy hour, man. Alvin goes for the 2-for-1s big time. And caused him to issue an unusual public statement emphasizing that the investigation into Trump was far from over. He's like, no, let me come.
That's what she said.
Mark, your book also contributed to the political pressure on DA's office to bring the charges. And so for the foregoing reasons, in light of your disregard of our earlier voluntary request, please find attached
Some California dairy farms for you guys.
compelling your appearance for a deposition.
You gotta get her fixed. He never got close to her. Oh,
Look forward to
is
seeing
she
you
and he?
April
You
20th.
can't get her fixed
Now,
till
that
afterwards,
is
bro.
the letter from Jim Jordan over to Mark Pomerantz, former New York prosecutor.
It's cheaper to get Bubba fixed.
Subpoena has been issued and delivered. We'll see if Mark Pomerantz shows up or if he is referred over to the DOJ and held in contempt. Now, Alvin Bragg responded to this investigation. He posted this right after. The House Judiciary Committee, they said, here's the subpoena. And
Oh yeah, she's definitely
to Alvin,
ready.
Alvin's former prosecutor, Pomerantz. You see the GOP posted that. And so then Alvin responded,
As long as you're not get stuck together, you'll be all right.
Statement. Here's what Alvin said. He said the House GOP continues to attempt to undermine an active investigation, an ongoing New York criminal case with an unprecedented campaign of harassment and intimidation. Repeated efforts to weaken state and local law enforcement are an abuse of power that will not deter us. These elected officials would better serve their constituents and the country and fulfill their oath of office by doing their jobs in Congress and not intruding on the sovereignty of the state of New York by interfering in an ongoing criminal matter.
Hey, Drunk, did you know who Brandon was before last night or no?
Wow, that's crazy. That's amazing. We love that. That's awesome. So interesting. Yeah, they're demanding Congress or stay out of their affairs. Well, unfortunately, it's not how it works now. They started this game. They brought out the loser J6 illegally constituted committee. They crapped all over those rules. And now it's their turn to be a part of the process. Shout out to Jim Jordan for sending subpoenas out to Mark Pomerantz. Hopefully Alvin Bragg is next and the rest of the DA's office. I think we should form a special select committee. In fact, it doesn't even need to be legally constituted. No reason for it at all. We'll continue to follow. Thank you for subscribing wherever it is you're watching this. Thank you for liking this video. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. All right, my friends. Hey, shout out to Ray K.
He's got good footage.
In the house, Ray K gifted 5 memberships. Thank you to Ray K. Matt's got a gift. Welcome. We got Common Sense, Boiler Operator, One Nation Underground. We got Major DZ, Euro Wars. Courtesy of Ray K. Inviting people to our membership. And our morning membership streams are getting amazing. And hey, if you're on YouTube, and you're a YouTube member, don't forget to grab the Telegram group. Come in and join us. If you got a gifted membership, come and join us on the Telegram group. It is in the community post section. All right, my friends. And so thank you to Ray K. And also I saw that Tony Hay Munkins also became a member. Thank you, Tony Hay. Welcome. Welcome. And don't forget to grab the Telegram. All right, my friends. And so we are carrying on because we have a doozy of a Proud Boys update indeed. Proud Boys trial continues. We learn there may be as many as 40 or more confidential human sources, informants, feds lurking around on January 6th.
Wow.
Now, yesterday, when we left off on the trial, it was day 50 and day 51, and there were some questions about what was going on. A lot of sealed proceedings taking place under the dark of night. Jordan Fisher, Jordan on the Record on Twitter, gave us an update. He said that the day before, on day 50, Proud Boy trial went under seal for several hours. And they're going to go back under seal again on day 51. Judge Kelly denied a motion from the press. Even the press was demanding to get access to this. They said, can we see this, please? You can't just close these proceedings without giving us any notice and then do it again. And the judge said, sorry, you're not getting access to this.
Wow.
It is going to remain closed.
I warned you guys. I told you I heard something big was going to happen.
What the heck? Why is the hearing so sealed? Well, maybe it had to do with confidential human sources. Maybe there were a bunch of agents that the judge didn't want us to hear about. And we wake up the following morning on day 52, and guess what is fresh on the docket? We have a new motion filed by defendant Pizzola, alleging big issues with the case. Here's what it says. Defendant Dominic Pizzola submits a motion to compel disclosure of all confidential human sources of Homeland Security. Not the FBI, we're normally screaming about them. Different agency because there are so many of them. Now, this was 11 pages of filings submitted 4/5/23 out of the DC court, of course, the Proud Boys trial. Defense attorney Roger Roots is writing. He says, all right, everybody, comes now the defendant, Dominic, Proud Boy defendant, with a motion. We're asking the United States and the court to compel the prosecutors to reveal all informants, all undercover operatives, and all confidential human sources relating to the events of January 6th. Okay, all of them. Every single one of them. Not related to this case only, but all of them. Informants, paid or not, undercover operatives, CHSs, all of these people are not officially FBI or DHS agents. They're not on the payroll as employees, but they're still there. And we've been following them along throughout this entire case. Defense attorney says that Pizzola recently learned, maybe in one of these sealed hearings, that a federal agency other than the FBI called the Homeland Security Investigations Unit, HIS, which I think is an illegal pronoun for the federal government. They're probably going to have to fix that. Called it, was handling and running undercover CHSs on January 6th. And there are many other intelligence agencies. We've joked about how many different police departments there are in Washington, D.C., Capitol Hill Police, MPD. You know, the Mint has their own police department and all of these things. There's different, Smithsonian, right? History, Smithsonian Police and all this stuff. So they're all there, and we're asking how many were involved. The federal prosecutors in this case, says the defense, are refusing to disclose information about these non-FBI informants because they're from a different entity, DHS. The existence and the conduct of these CHSs is almost certainly exculpatory for my client called Dominic Pizzola. Remember in the Proud Boys claim, it's about a conspiracy that they were going to take over the country. They were going to insurrect America. And if there's dozens of informants all over the place, how could that happen? Why did they allow it to happen? Why couldn't they stop it? Why did it get as far as it did if there are more informants than there are Proud Boys who were insurrectionists?
Right.
Here's the background. From the defense, they write, the United States disclosing the full scale of undercover confidential human sources among the Proud Boys on January 6th.
Right here?
Government FBI witnesses first admitted that there was one confidential human source embedded among the Proud Boys on January 6th. Just one. It might have been one. And then there were two. Then there were three. Then the government stipulated on April 4th that we read here that there were 8 FBI confidential human sources among the Proud Boys. Now it's just one. It's just 2. Now 3. And we know that one of them, Kenny Luzardo, picked up Enrique Tarrio from jail on January 4th or 5th, the day before the so-called insurrection. We know that Jen Lowe was on payroll, was getting paid by the FBI.
Actually, she wasn't.
And according to the defense, was showing up at legal meetings and in prayer groups.
He's wrong about Jen Lowe.
On Friday, March 31st, federal prosecutors pulled defense counsel aside. End of the week, things are coming to a close, and they disclosed there were even more additional undercover officers belonging to Metro PD among the defendants on January 6th. Now, I want to be very specific about this. We are continually referring to the Proud Boys in this case because the Proud Boys are the people who are on trial right now. 8 among the Proud Boys. That's how I'm reading it. It's 8 among the Proud Boys. I would imagine there's probably another 8 among the Oath Keepers, and probably another 8 among the 3 Percenters, and probably another 8, all throughout the various entities that were there. They say that Pizzola, after learning about FBI and Metro and the 1, 2, and 3, Pizzola has become aware that the largest numbers of undercover CHSs belong to agencies other than the FBI. We're all sitting here wondering about the FBI with their crayons playing Where's Waldo. But what about the other agencies? Defense says at least 2 law enforcement agencies each outnumbered the FBI teams in terms of running undercover agents, informants, and CHSs on January 6th. 2 agencies had more than the FBI. First, the Metro Police had at least 13 undercover plainclothes agents among the Proud Boys and other patriots on January 6th.
Really? No.
13. Next, there appear to have been some 19 confidential human sources belonging to an agency called HID, Homeland Security Investigations. When added to the 8 FBI confidential human sources now admitted by the prosecutors, this means that you add them all up, we have at least 40 undercover informants or agents doing surveillance among the defendants, the Proud Boys, on January 6th. 40 among the defendants, the Proud Boys.
Wow.
Remember, there are 5 Proud Boys on trial. There are 40 undercover informants, Homeland Security, FBI, Metro Police, who knows who else, who are not being prosecuted. These are not FBI employees or agents. These are informants. These are people who are in the groups, hanging out with them, picking them up, taking them places. On Thursday, Pizzola filed a motion to serve witness Ray Epps. We read through that full filing here, if you missed that. Defendant contends that Mr. Epps is being suspiciously protected from prosecution by the government. You're kidding. Pizzola's motion included a paragraph addressing revelations by the J6 defendant, William Pope, in another case. Shout out to William Pope on Twitter, as I believe Free State
another
will.
circus over to the right. Must be circus time. Did my phone just stop playing, or did he stop?
I don't know if that's the same person, but shout out to William Pope. It says undercover Metro police officers were among the crowd on January 6th, instigating the crowd to storm the Capitol. Metro police officers were among the crowd, instigating the crowd, not just standing there observing.
Is my chat frozen again?
The following day, on
frozen.
Friday, March 31, in the middle of trial, federal prosecutors in this case pulled defense lawyers aside and revealed that the United States came across what we possess previously undisclosed information regarding the Metro PD officers working undercover on January 6th. In the middle of trial, near the end of trial. Okay, we are on trial day 52 on this thing. They just pop it up. Oh, hey, by the way,
I think so, Billy. I get some.
Defendants with insurrecting America, with being a part of this massive conspiracy.
That's all right. It's
and
a friendly
are a bunch of
group.
MPD officers who are also instigating a lot of the other chaos that we're blaming your clients for.
This Jeep.
Specifically, there are previously undisclosed text messages between the undercover officers and Proud Boy supporters, which evidence very closely familial or intimate contact and relationships. Now, the information involved 12, now known as 13, undercover or plainclothes officers from Metro amongst the demonstrators. Some of these undercover Metro officers marched with the Proud Boy March, and some appear to have played roles of instigators, and that they are seen on body-worn cameras. The police are shouting this. Go, go, go. Stop the thing. Whose house? Our house. Whose house? Our house. Metro PD doing that.
Wow.
Others generally follow demonstrators.
Why are you mad at your
Capitol.
wife?
Now, Pizzola submits that the entire defense in this trial, including opening cross and defense, would have been very different and much more aggressive if the defense attorneys,
I don't know, get some,
had known the scope and the scale
so.
of the undercover government operations. Prosecutors made arguments contrary to information they possessed and withheld, and defense counsel could have lodged different cross-examinations and different examinations if they had known about these materials. Here's one example. This newly disclosed information supports Proud Boy assessment of Antifa prior to J6. The defense says that undercover Metro officers are seen on videos and private text messages remarking on the dangerousness of violence of Antifa. The Proud Boys were there. They had been attacked, somebody had been stabbed, somebody had been hit in the head, I think, in another...
Tell her you're hanging out with Eddie.
Prior to these revelations, prosecutors had painted the Proud Boys' statements about Antifa as exaggerated. They're just making it up. There's no Antifa there.
Oh, that'll get you in trouble.
Witness even said that. Prosecutors repeatedly suggested through their witnesses, through their chats, their texts, and their posts that Antifa were not defensive, but were secret Proud Boy code for creating violence. Yes. When the Proud Boys are saying, oh no, we're here to fight back against Antifa, that's just secret code or insurrection language. We act in self-defense is translated to take the podium and seize the nuclear codes. That's what the government is alleging. Now, the government, they say, has withheld exculpatory information that might tend to show their innocence. With each bombshell, says the defense, the government generally begins its response to late disclosure complaints by saying the government was provided with the information, even if buried in the mountains of unnavigable discovery debris. They just throw it in there. But in this situation, the prior discovery dumps didn't provide all of the information. Buried in this discovery was a chart naming 12 Metro officers working for the unit on J6, but an additional 13th undercover Metro officer was revealed in recent revelations, and coincidentally, the 13th undercover officer appears to have been the most vociferous in promoting the storming of the Capitol. So the defense is saying, all right, look, Judge, we didn't know about these people. Well, we kind of did. We knew a little bit about some of them. There was one chart in a big bin of discovery they dumped on our desk. And remember, they've done this before. Earlier in this trial, the prosecutors were going to use like 3 pages of a report, and they sent over 3,500 pages.
Wow.
And then when the defense complained about it, they said, well, we thought you were going to ask for more, so we just gave you a ton. Right?
Nothing wrong with that, get some?
Jerks. They're being cheaters because that's largely what government does, is cheat, especially in J6 cases. And so here, they do disclose some people, but 12 are known officially. The 13th is disclosed late. They go through the 13th. That's the most aggressive person in the crowd. Weird how they left that 13th person out. So they say the material rebuts significant portions of other motive evidence that the government was permitted to present. We objected to that. They were still allowed to run with it. It confirms the reality of law enforcement concerns over Antifa. It provides percipient evidence that Antifa was engaged in the exact sort of violence that they're calling the Proud Boys responsible for. If counsel had this material in possession, we would have done different cross-examinations. And given the nature of this case, this material is exculpatory and relevant. Now the defense continues, they write, we are entitled to know every single HSI human source who was there. The defense recently became aware that another agency called the Homeland Security Investigations Unit was also handling more CHSs on J6 than the FBI. The startling case of the J6 defendant, Jeremy Brown, brought the existence of these informants to light. In the days before J6, Homeland Security handlers visited Brown's residence, and they attempted to recruit Brown into becoming a paid source for HSI. Brown recorded the would-be handlers attempt to recruit him. And in the video, the handlers, these 2 guys, Brett Lindsay and Paul Ura, indicated that they were making 19 additional stops that day. So they go over to Brown. Hey, you want to join us and become a Fed? He's recording the whole thing. He's, wow, why are you coming to me? We're going to everybody today. We got 19 stops. It seems obvious, according to that the agents were planning on making similar recruitment contacts to get 19 other sources. Now, they say that, specific note here, it seems that the Justice Department is retaliating against Brown for refusing his offer. They charged him with crimes. He says, I'm not going to work with you losers. I'm not going to be a Fed for you. I'm not a snitch. Get out of here. They said, fine, we'll just charge you with crimes because we're the rotten government. Prosecutors in this case say they have no duty to provide the CHS from... Prosecutors say we don't have to give you anything from anybody else other than the FBI. Oh my God. So they asked for this. On April 4th, Assistant U.S. team responded to and says, hey, I'd like some more information about
where am I?
all of these sources. And the prosecutor responds. She says,
I'm going to Fresno first. I got to get dog food and
the name redacted
diesel.
Or
so that's 34 minutes or 34 miles. So
security, and I'm not even sure specifically what that would be, is not the investigative agency in this case. So I understand the relevance of your CHS theory, and that if there was a plan, then the FBI CHSs would have reported the.
Then I got about 45-minute drive up the hill from
and
there.
They did not report a plan, and therefore there was no plan. But what is the relevance?
So I'll be home in about 2.5 hours.
Status as a source to another.
His wet dog food and Panda.
No, 40 of them reported there was a plan. We'd like to know if their other agencies also got those same reports.
And diesel.
About it, so who cares what they told Homeland Security? What's the relevance?
Uh-oh,
Roger
Hot Sam
says,
is back.
Of course, these proclamations
What's up, Big
violate
Info?
the government's obligations.
Ty is on his way home.
And his progeny, saying you don't need it. They're not investigating.
We split up about 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago.
Exculpatory material.
So he could go up north to Oakland, and I'm going to
from whatever agency
Fresno.
you choose. If it's within the power of the government, you've got an obligation to give that to us because we don't have the power.
I'd have to have him to Fresno by 6 to get on the bus or the
You can't see if there's HSI or Metro PD or Capitol Hill PD.
He's harvesting a car.
FBI, all of them. You don't get to see it, so you've got an obligation to tell us this stuff. And if you're alleging there's a conspiracy, there's a common scheme or plan, all of these people are in cahoots to do this together, why didn't any of them report to any of their handlers that there was in fact a plan? Should we be allowed to present that evidence? But this prosecutor, I don't understand the relevance of it. Why is it appropriate? Now, Brady and its obligations do not extend to the entirety of the government. They do include any and all investigative agencies who worked on the case, related, who knew or who should have known that information would even
What's up, Irving?
material to a prosecution arriving from their direct involvement. If other federal agents were there on January 6th, all of those agencies should be absolutely relevant. It's the same event. The Capitol Police are directly related and fully aware of the events. Capitol Police is an agency of Congress. Capitol Police and Congress are two primary alleged victims, and the Capitol Police is the primary investigative agency. In terms of immediacy and geographic proximity, most of the witnesses and the investigators from the FBI have no first-hand knowledge of the events. They're merely...
No, I chose a hotel that had no free breakfast, so he couldn't get
Here is the original email by Roger Roots. He says, "Hey Jocelyn, Prosecutor Valentine, we're still following up on this person. Who is this person? We have two witnesses who absolutely insist that Proud Boy Redacted made suspicious calls on January 6th. We want to know about this. The name called one individual named Brett by mistake, wrong number, and then made statements consistent with being a source awaiting instructions to engage in activities at the Capitol." Whoa. Roger Root says, "We have a witness who says somebody made a call. Looks like that person is a source awaiting instructions to engage in activities at the Capitol."
Wow.
Wait, they're waiting for the text message. It's execute order 66. Go. Note that the name Brett is shared by the running sources on January 6th. Weird. One person, agent named Brett, running sources, and phone calls are being made. Roger says, "The case of Jeremy Brown in Tampa involves a Homeland Security agent named Brett. As you know, Homeland and the FBI went to Brown's house, and he refused to become a source. So this begs the question, even if this person was not an FBI source, was he Homeland Security source? Same question regarding Ray Epps. Was Ray Epps a Homeland Security source? We've been saying FBI, and they keep saying, no, he's not an FBI source. Was he a Homeland Security source? And is that how they're skipping over this whole thing?
Wow.
And of course she responded, "I don't see the relevance. What does it have to do with anything? Who cares if it's HSI? They're not related to this. FBI's in charge of this case, and it's their jurisdiction, and so stay out of it. Don't ask about other agencies." And he says, well, other agencies are investigating this case and that agency. They're kind of relevant to my case. Roger Roots, the defense, continues. The city of D.C. police had undercover officers on the scene of the Capitol in the early afternoon. They were on standby under memoranda of understanding to respond to the police. He says, plainly under Brady, the government prosecutors are obligated to give us the identities of them. Supreme Court said so. Brady material is exculpatory information material to a defendant's guilt, which the government knew about but failed to disclose to the defendant in time for trial. We're in the middle of trial. And they didn't disclose them. Brady requires this disclosure.
I I've never been there. I've always wanted to go.
We'll fast forward. All citing from Robinson and others. In conclusion, Root says the United States is refusing to provide information, which obviously has a high likelihood of being exculpatory. Under the most foundational principles of Brady, our defendants are entitled to this information. And so accordingly, our client Dominic asks for an order compelling the United States to give us the names, the identities, the reports of all the Homeland Security Investigation CHSs operating at or near the Capitol around the Proud Boys on January 6th. Great motion, shocking motion. Roger Roots, Esquire, co-counsel for defendant Pizzola, sent this in April 5th. Maybe not that shocking at all. We've all suspected that there were dozens of feds. We might be getting into the hundreds of feds. We might get into triple digits of feds. If there were 40 people that the defense has been able to eyeball without the government even being transparent about it, this is just them picking them out of the wilderness, identifying them. The government hasn't even disclosed them. Maybe 40 times all of the other groups who were there. Fed-surrection, indeed. So this was the original motion. The government, of course, will respond to that. But the takeaway, at least 40 agents, 40 informants, 40 individuals who the government knew about, who were embedded with these so-called insurrectionists, none of whom ever reported that there was a common scheme or plan. There was never any conspiracy to take over the Capitol. 40 agents. Now, we've made a big stink here about how many charges there are, or how many lack of charges there are in the J6 cases. Kyle Cheney from Politico posted this one today, gave us a quick summary. Remember, 1,000 people were charged. Only 339 of those 1,000 were assaulting or impeding police, which is basically a joke charge. 107 of those were with a dangerous weapon. We've gone through the funnel of these numbers before. 107 charged with a dangerous weapon. Many of those dangerous weapons were water bottles and flagpoles and other things like that. So it's about 107, and we've got about 40 undercover CHSs who were there. You see those numbers? Now, 533 have pled guilty. 83 found guilty at trial, which means half the cases are closed and already sentenced. 453 have already been sentenced. So our whole useless Department of Justice is spending millions and billions of dollars and wasting all of these efforts for give or take about 500 open cases. A small percentage of those are actual violent or assault types of crimes. And as we know, a big portion of the whole thing is like a drop in the bucket. 1,000 charges for 2 coming on 3, and half of them were feds. That is what's going on in the Proud Boys trial before we even start the day. Then we turn our attention to the Proud Boys trial. Is reporting on the trial, and she is at Brandy Buckman on Twitter, and you can follow her at Brandy_Buckman. Trial. All right, everybody, before we turn to the last 15 or so pages of juries, a few housekeepings. So for that part of this review, we'll fast forward through all of it because it's just painful. And we'll take a look at the jury instructions when they are finalized, once the final document is edited, and we can pull it up on the screen. But before we get into that, a couple housekeeping points from Judge Kelly. He says, all right, I want to thank the defense attorneys for teeing up these Enrique Tarrio exhibits. I am anticipating that there's going to be various arguments about this, and so here's where we stand. He says, look, I am going to exclude the expert testimony of Metcalf, wanted in yesterday for relevance and 403 grounds. So we're not going to have the expert witness who is going to come talk about police and circles and how this whole thing went down. Kelly, he says, well, you know, if we brought in that expert witness and gave the defense an opportunity to explain how this works, it's going to be difficult for the jury. even if there is some relevance to it, it just seems to pull it apart from the defense theory of self-defense. And so we're just not going to do it. He says, well, we agreed to putting on Mr. Hill, not trying to qualify him as an expert. He says, we also had Miss Harris this week. Now, Kelly, before the jury is brought in, he says, we had Miss Harris, the clerk. She brought up an issue about juror ability. And apparently a juror, better tell him he's not going anywhere. He says, I'm letting you all know that, and you all can think about what to do about that. And we don't have a ton necessarily to decide here. We can decide that later, if we want to take those days off or whatever. Days we don't have a full jury, we either plan around it, or the other possibility, I can see if there's any legal room, how we can complete this. Maybe I can see if he can just complete it. Is he required to do this? I'll just tell him, you're not going. Just tell your boss the judge said you're not going. This is the Proud Boys trial, okay? I need you to convict these people. Tell them. So Hernandez raises her hand. She's a defense attorney representing Zachary Real. She says, Your Honor, we had a bunch of sealed matters yesterday that we've been hashing, flipping through their papers. But we're inclined to indicate to the juror that we're at a point where we're close to closing arguments, and we want to see whether the juror can just make some adjustments. I'm not sure what we want to do yet, but we may just tell him you're not going on your trip. I think we're prepared to proceed. That's where we're at. Now, he says, Your Honor, the government has 2 Metro police officers here whose reporting was disclosed to the defense last week or so. They were on ground during the rallies in November and December, and they observed and recorded videos. The prosecutor says, I know certain defendants are interested in calling these officers, but there's been talk about a stipulation about issues and whether the jury could resolve this stuff.
Donnie's
says,
gonna be happy
all
to
of it's
go
excludable under the rule
play with his
more
cousin.
probative than prejudicial, because the testimony would seek to relate crimes and violence committed by anonymous Antifa members. Right? So the defense wants to bring in Metro PD police to ask about Antifa. And the government says, we shouldn't ask about Antifa because they're just anonymous. And it's outside the scope. It's too far removed from any of this. They're charged with crimes, not Antifa. They bring up the November and December rallies.
Come on, Tesla, pass me, so I don't have to slam on my brakes. You freaking asshole.
Of those
Don't you hate that when people are right next to you like that?
And they're still hashing over this witness. The defense attorney jumps up.
Or whatever they are.
He says, well, we did have an officer with Antifa, and they could be put forward, and if they want, they could put on a rebuttal case. Judge says, well, it is relevant. The evidence of some of these other rallies are relevant, but I didn't let in some of the other post-election rallies, so maybe I'm not going to let in the other rallies. On the other hand, the judge says, we might be able to get the evidence in through direct and cross and just kind of see what happens. Who was looking for trouble with whom? He says, he's given us a big explanation. Part of the evidence we have, he says, is from the radios, from communications. In some cases, we had body armor and other things like that. Part of the evidence you've elicited through your own witnesses and the cross of the government is no. We had that because we took what happened with Mr. Bertino and attempted to bring order out of chaos. It says, I can't say the evidence is irrelevant, but if you want to put on a limited show, I think you can do that. So they're still going through some preliminary matters, and I want to get to the witnesses. Okay, here it is. Now, this is what we're talking about now. Roger Roots comes in, and we just read through the motion with 40-plus confidential human sources.
Right, Sagittarius?
Judge Kelly says, oh, hey, Roger Roots, I think you filed something minutes before I took the bench, so I'm not going to burn any time on it this morning. He says, Judge, well, it's kind of an important issue. There's an agency of the federal government that had more CHSs than the FBI. That's why I filed it. It's kind of a big issue. He says, yeah, I saw your motion. I'll say this. There's a lot of things in it that seem like they are internally, factually inconsistent. Can you believe this, Judge? I saw your motion. He just said I didn't read it. I think you filed something before the bench. I'm not going to burn any time on it this morning. He says, well, there's about 40 informants in our case. Yeah, I saw it. I'll say this, look, there's a couple things in it, and it doesn't really seem factually consistent to me, and there's a lot of things that you leap from thing to thing in a way that I'm not sure is warranted. You just keep bringing up these people. And Root says, well, I want to make a statement on the record, okay? I filed my motion, and if you're not, before we begin, I want to just make a statement on the record. We're on recording, I want to make a statement. Judge Kelly says no. He says no. We're not going to do things like that. We're going to do the things that we're prepared to do today. The government's going to respond to your motion. We're not hearing your argument on the sources. Prosecutor Ballantine says, well, maybe Sunday, I could give a response by Sunday. Judge Kelly says, no, that's Easter. Monday. You guys have Monday. Respond by Monday to your source motion. Now we get back to the jury instructions, which they say they should complete today. And we're going to fast forward through the jury instructions, talking about intent. You can see how difficult this is to follow because they're raising the issue of 15112B, and that's written into the statute as an affirmative defense. I note one, right, and they're talking through all the different...
I agree with you, Sagittarius. Trucks should be able to go the same speed as everybody else.
...of the statutes. So let's see if we have any other witnesses today.
They, for the most part, do anyways.
10-minute break. Good progress. Kelly says he's going to circulate draft jury instructions to the parties. A few items are going to be bracketed. Good progress. Great. All right, that's good. Jury instructions are just a pain and boring and terrible. They take a 10-minute break, and we're back. Oop, spoke too soon. Technical problem. And now we're back. Now we have another witness. The defense calls Stephen K. Hill for Dominic Pizzola. Hill takes the stand. He's an older gentleman, quite tall and thin. Very neatly shorn gray hair and beard, dark suit jacket, light dress, shirt and tie. Hey Stephen, thanks for being here today. Can you tell me, what do you do for work? He says, I'm retired. Well, what'd you do before you retired? Well, I started my career in the Air Force. I was a law enforcement specialist. I was in a position for about 6 years. Then I became a police officer for the Albuquerque Police Department. I was there for about 19 years until I retired. Probably a very good witness on the stand. Probably testifies very well. And now after you retired, Stephen, what happened next? You became a training instructor? He says, well, I've always been a training instructor. I was hired by Sandy International Laboratories, where they hired me to be a lieutenant for a training program. It covered about everything. I certified firearms, less than lethal weapon systems, use of force, and just about everything else. The main reason they hired me was for my expertise in a hostage rescue. I have a lot of experience with it, so I went to DOE to train, and I've trained hundreds of police officers on how to protect vulnerable, high-risk materials or people. Now, Metcalf shows Hill a picture of a V-100 armored vehicle from the Albuquerque Police Department. It's up on the screen. He says, what is this? You were with the SWAT team? Prosecutors are objecting. Objection, Judge. What is this vehicle? Relevance, 403. Judge says it's overruled. Hill describes the photo. He says, yeah, that was our tactical team. It was the SWAT team and I. We would park this vehicle up at a park, and that's me right there in front. It was about 1997. And they say, well, Mr. Hill, you spent a lot of time looking at footage from January 6th. Is that true? He says, yeah, a lot of time. I want to play one clip from this. Tell me if you recognize it. It'll be a little bit less than a minute, and then I'll ask you another question, okay? Plays the video. Footage is from outside the Capitol. Defense is trying to show that Pizzola just got caught up in a little bit of a mess. It was just chaos. Rioters are just scaling scaffolding. Police are outnumbered. Metcalf asks Hill to explain what he's seeing. Hill says, well, here we have uniformed officers, standard patrol officers. After a couple of moments with people yelling, you see a hard squad, a kind of a skirmish line. Officers in heavier protective materials, they line up. There's a line of officers behind the line. And the defense says, is there a line of officers after the skirmish line? He says, yeah, they are. We call them linebackers. Basically a handful of different officers in a leadership role. They're there to keep the skirmish line straight, make sure nobody gets in between it. Prosecutor says, Your Honor, objection to this. Husher is off. Proceedings resume. Defense says, now, Mr. Hill, Can you explain to me a little bit about what is on this screen? Another sidebar. More footage. He says, who is this person on this video? He says, oh, that's a commander. That's a police officer. And what does that mean? Well, this is what he does for the department. Now, he's trying to get an attention. Who is this guy? What is he doing? He says, that gentleman is trying to get the attention of a team of officers. What is that officer doing?
No, he said
giving a physical circle,
was too busy.
the wagons gesture to get someone's attention and pointing at the crowd. So he's making some hand gestures in the video.
I'm glad you liked it. Me and Brandon are good friends.
Who's this person? That's Pizzola, Dominic Pizzola, Proud Boy defendant. He's in the footage now in the middle of a thick crowd of people. Officers are trying to keep people back. Defense says, who is this person? He says, that's another officer who's on the ledge. Plays the video forward. He says, who's that? That's another officer at the top of a stairwell. Who's this? That's another officer near the scaffolding. And who's that? How many officers are total there, Hill? He says about 3 or 4 in the area. Now, there's another man making gestures. Who is that? He says, that's Inspector Lloyd. And he's pointing at the officers?
Right.
Yeah, directly at him. He says one officer has his shield up between the crowd and himself. He's using it to ensure no one throws anything at him. Now, what about the officers next to him? She has a less than lethal weapon. He uses some technical name. Is that like similar to a rifle? He says, yeah, but less than lethal. Now, there's another commanding officer standing in the group. They play the video forward. And then by about 1, Hill says, now we're prepared to shoot less, they prepared to shoot less than lethal rounds. Camera pans from the crowd. Screen is flicking off officers screaming, F you. Hill says the crowd was angry, very pissed. And after officers fired less than lethal rounds into the crowd got animated, right? Very angry. They're standing around, cops start firing off projectiles, they start getting angry. Hill says a man named Joshua Black is hit in the face. Now the crowd, according to Metcalf, he's trying to make the argument, they got whipped into a frenzy. The police started it. The crowd was standing around until they started lobbing off projectiles. Hill's sitting there testifying. He says, yeah, the crowd is yelling. He said, they shot him in the effing face. They just shot him in the effing face. And now the jury sees the footage. Blood is on the pavement. Black is spitting blood into a water bottle as a woman washes his face off. The woman identifies herself as medically trained. The video continues. Black is seen, MAGA hat on head, camo hoodie on, gloves, sunglasses, clutching his face, shot by the cops. Clean his face off. He says, that's Ryan Samsel. The video plays forward. The crowd around him is screaming at an officer. Hill says, you'll notice that one gentleman puts rubber gloves on. He's trying to put gauze inside of Black's mouth while he's going in there. Looks like he's trying to remove the munition in there. Jury sees a photo of Black with the less than lethal munition went through his cheek, punched a hole into his mouth, and people around him are trying to stop the bleeding on sight. Metcalf says, so the crowd looks a little riled up now. Objection leading. He says, okay, how about this? Explain what the crowd was doing. He says, yeah, they're angry, upset, they're pissed. One of their own had just been shot in the face. Objection, foundation overruled. Prosecutors are getting angry about this. They're objecting at everything. They're just sitting there, all 4 of them, getting ready to go. Hill says, yeah, he'd been shot by a less than lethal munition. Penetrated his cheek, side of his mouth, and it did an awful lot of damage. A hard squad officer, says Hill, as the footage played, tried to take Black back into custody. Inspector Lloyd, earlier seen further back, is now in the crowd. Hill says that this is when they tried to bring Black in. Footage is playing forward, officers talking to Black, nodding with a hand on his shoulder. Hill says this was the officer's mistake because it upsets them.
Sheepdog, I'm driving right now, bud. I'll call you later.
You're not taking him, they said. He's one of ours. The video shows rioters then clashing with the police.
I'll call you when I go to
Violent
Costco.
breaks out around Black in the crowd. Cops come to take the guy they just shot. Hill says here at least 2 Capitol police officers are on the ground and Pizzola's on his back. The defense attorney asks, so at this time, does Pizzola have his hands on that shield? So I'm not sure if he has his hands on this shield. Now, I want to play another video for you. This time it's around the same time frame, but from a different angle. Slow down a little bit. Not exactly easy to make the details out.
Oh.
Crowd is thick. Flags are blocking.
I'm almost to
projectiles are
Costco,
flying
bro.
by.
Let me call you when I get to
Metcalf
Costco.
says, this is a vantage point I want to show you. Officers are standing here above the crowd, right? Now the projectile that flies off one strikes a gentleman in the face, right in the ear area, is what Hill says. The video plays forward. Hill's describing. He says that the same man is hit in the back of the neck, is struck somewhere in the chest with a .303 round. More footage is played. Another close-up, a warning sign. Less than lethal launcher used by police. He says, what does the warning label say? It says, don't aim at the heads or chests of people. He shot in the face? Yeah. Trial. Prosecutors argued cops wouldn't have had to do this if you weren't insurrecting anything. The old chicken or the egg argument. Maybe there wouldn't have been an insurrection if you didn't file, or maybe there wouldn't have been a riot if you weren't lobbing projectiles into a crowd and then trying to take people who you shot in the face. In the next clip, Hill says Lloyd is using the circle the wagons gesture to get officers situated above the crowd to fire down. Objection, foundation, probably calls for speculation. You don't know what the officers are doing. Cops may have been shooting down, but you can't prove that, so the objection is sustained. Witness Hill says Lloyd is looking up at the team, holding the less than lethal weapons. Defense plays the video, says listen to the sound in this video and tell me what you hear. They're screaming and yelling in the video. Hill says, I hear something. Someone is saying something at the same level of the camera. Whoever he says is, it's directing the targeting of people at the bottom. It's identifying the description of an individual, telling a person with less than lethal to engage them.
Sorry, Donnie. Sorry, bro. Sorry, Donnie.
You hear that? He says, yeah.
Sorry, Donnie. You okay?
Prosecutor just objected to this, arguing to shoot down on the crowd. You haven't proven that, so he's walking him through it. Did you hear what they said? He said, yeah, I did. It said, target the people at the bottom. Use less than lethal to engage them. You heard that, right? Yeah. After you heard that message, did you hear any shots go off? Hill says, former police officer, says, you hear pop, pop, pop of shots. And then you hear someone say boom, boom, boom as rounds impact. So the cop is shooting. Pop, 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 it hits, and he says, boom, 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 got him. Boom, 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 got him. Shooting from the top, boom, boom, boom. Now I can hear thwunk of munitions. And she's having a difficult time hearing some of the video because she's in the media room. They break for lunch. And they come back. Back in the Proud Boys trial. And, of course, it's back under seal. Once they return from lunch. Back under seal with nobody is seeing what's happening. Now, apparently, Pizzola has a Give, Send, Go, raising money. So shout out to Pizzola if you want to go find a Give, Send, Go. You can help support his legal funds. The courtroom is unsealed again. Public session's back in. Direct examination of Hill continues. Defense attorney says, all right, Mr. Hill. Now, this is going to be quick. I want to focus on one man who is hit by what you said was a pepper ball. He circles a person on the screen, standing near an area. What happened with this guy? He says, yeah, this man is someone who was wounded with a less than lethal hit him. So I want to do a compare and contrast with you, Mr. Hill. You've compared and contrasted these videos, and you've looked at this scene from very different angles. And so I want to start with a signal where Lloyd gave.
Tired.
What do you see? He says, you're seeing a crowd pushing against officers and officers pushing back. The officers are doing a good job. And he says, well, you know, you're not qualified as an expert. Even you know, he has a lot of expertise. He's still not doing a lot. He's still not qualified as an expert on this topic. So he says, without giving your opinion, he fixes it. He knows what's going on. He says, well, you can see it's a shoving match in the scene. He says, no one's punching anyone anywhere. And now after the circle wagon's signal is given, Hill says you can see less than lethal launched into the crowd, and within a few minutes, the crowd gets angrier and angrier. Okay, so we see this change. The crowd is pushing against the officers. Officers are pushing back. It's a shoving match in the scene, but no one is punching anything. Then cops start firing stuff into the crowd. Crowd gets angrier and angrier. And this leads to Joshua Black getting shot in the face. Circle the wagon signal is given. Cops plunk, 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 boom, boom, boom. It comes firing down. Crowd gets angry. That led to Joshua Black getting shot in the face.
Oh, God.
He says, yeah, you can hear 10 shots in the video. One of them have high decibel. One person has high decibel hearing loss. He pulls up another video.
Are you waking up now, huh?
Plays it back. Can you hear those shots? Yes, I can hear them. Before the shots, I can hear someone in the background calling in the shot. The voice says, gray hair, and then he saw a shot. Another shot into the crowd. And then this happens 4 or 5 times. Somebody's up there yelling, gray hair, black hat, something over here.
We're gonna go for a little walk, Donnie, huh?
Boom, boom.
Go to
boom.
Costco.
Black is visible after being shot. Metcalf says that less than a minute after the signal from Lloyd, there's more than 10 munitions shot into the crowd as somebody's calling him out. He says that 5 or 6 people were shot in the face in this area. It's the same area. Same place that Pizzola came into possession of the shield. So Pizzola grabs the shield not because he's going to go insurrect the Capitol, but because the cops are shooting projectiles into the faces of, at this time, peaceful protesters who were just standing around on the grounds. Under 30 seconds, he grabs the shield. Very fast. No further questions. Prosecutor takes the stand, conducting the cross-examination. He says, all right, Mr. Hill, now, when officer in law enforcement, part of your duties included protecting high-risk people, is that right? Yeah, he said high-risk people, is that right? Yeah, he said high-risk articles of people. So people who, because of their position, are targeted, is that true? Yeah. And those high-level targets had experience protecting. They would be individuals like the vice president or members of Congress, right? Yeah. And you understand, prior to the videos being shown today, that rioters use force to make their way onto restricted grounds? Objection, scope.
All right, guys. So we're
Kelly
going to be
says,
leaving
okay,
you in a
for
second
now.
here.
I'll let you get into it. He says, now you understand that a number of different
pull
things
into
happened
Costco,
prior to the events. In
get
the
Donnie's
videos
wet
you
dog
saw
food
today,
and Panda's
right?
wet dog
Yeah.
food.
And the video you saw earlier, it's from a vantage point that was looking down on the plaza.
You're not going to get some diesel.
That it was impossible for members of that crowd to turn around and leave. Objection. Sidebar over. Prosecutor is corrected. He comes back. Now these people are facing towards the Capitol building and they're not facing the other way as if to leave. Is that true? Yes. So they play the video again. Not much stopping this time. Rioters are screaming, shoving fingers in their face. He says, how many rioters?
I'm so tired.
Well, in the video, there's about 500. And how many officers? About 50 or 60. So they were pretty badly outnumbered, right? Yeah, they were pretty badly outnumbered. Because for some bizarre
Yeah, I don't want
reason,
that truck running into me.
all of the security at the Capitol was rejected. Mayor Muriel Bowser rejected it in a letter. Trump said, we'll send the National Guard in to take some control of this. She said no. Capitol Hill Chief of Police Stephen Sun said, we might need some more support. Sergeant at Arms said no. Only 50 or 60 people for a estimated 100,000 plus crowd? And Nancy Pelosi said, we've been waiting for this. Now, badly outnumbered, Hill agrees when asked, yeah, people were very angry, and this was before Joshua was hit with ammunition.
Well, come on.
Yeah, they were angry, but not like after he got shot in the face, okay? They were
So I don't know why you want to sit in the middle of the road like that. Not let people by.
Now, jurors hear a radio transmission, officers sending calls to the crowd. He says they weren't firing indiscriminately into the crowd, were they?
You know, the 10 minutes that guy's going to sit there to get that better parking spot, he could have found
in the video
went a little bit farther away, walked, and got it inside faster.
Tell in the video what part of the body the officers are aiming at. He says, yeah, that's true. You can only see where they're hitting. There's no laser designator, correct? They're just shooting and just hitting them in the heads. So now the crowd is facing towards the officers, right? Toward the Capitol. Yeah, the majority are looking at the skirmish line. Several others are looking up at the less than lethal team above them.
I know, I want to go to sleep, Paul.
Says, I want to bring this video up and show you.
But I got to get Donnie's dog food and diesel.
The video where Joshua Black is hit in the cheek.
Oh.
He says the crowd is already clashing with the police, right? And he hasn't been shot yet, right? Yes, it's not happened yet. And the crowd's getting pretty forceful.
Come on, car.
Officers. He says, yeah, there's a lot of pushing and yelling. That's right.
Oh, everybody's driving slow today.
These officers are separating the crowd for the Capitol. He says, yeah, that's the purpose of the skirmish line.
So I got a scooter. I can park far away. I don't care.
There's a man at the skirmish line posting a large flag.
All right, guys. So we're going inside the store. Let me see. Oh, thank you, Kelly. I just saw this. Where are we at with this? So he's at I'm at 1 hour 36 minutes and 26 seconds. If you guys want to finish up, I gotta take Donnie inside the store, and we're gonna go get him his food, his wet food at least I should say, and then I'm gonna get diesel and I'm going home, and I'm going to bed because I've been driving, and we're tired, huh, Donnie? Huh, Bubba? Yes, you ready to go outside? You ready to go outside? So, all right, everybody. Can you tell he wants to go? He loves Costco. He's going to get a hot dog. So, all right, guys. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kelly, who just sent that. We're going to go to sleep. Well, not now. We're going to go to, man, I'm so tired. I can't even think where I am. I can fit my head in his mouth? Maybe, huh? Can I? So, all right, guys. We'll see you later. Thank you for being here. I'll probably do a show tomorrow night. All right. Good night.